Police Chief Escalera,
I'm here.
Public Works Director Fisher,
I'm here.
and Economic Development Director Martin.
Here.
Right, thank you, everyone. First item on our agenda is invocation. Is there someone here to give an invocation this evening? Seeing no one, I'll ask everyone to please rise as we pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All right. First item of the agenda, item 1, public comments. Citizens are advised they must limit their remarks to the council to 3 minutes. Council may refer items to staff to review and/or research for presentation at a future council meeting, which means if council members don't specifically respond, it doesn't mean that we haven't taken notes and we haven't heard it. All right. So if you have a public comment, please approach the microphone. Please state your name and city of residence, and you have your 3 minutes for comments. Yes, I think there's a clock. Well, there will be a clock up on the screen.
My name is Cindy Rattray. I live at 461 Becky. I'm here tonight to talk about pickleball and how public works and recreation are working with. We have been talking with Mary, and we told her that there is a number of us who are interested in the community. And how many people in the audience would like to? Anyway, she agreed that this sounded like something that we would like to have in the community, and she has ordered the pickleball nets and racquetballs and paddles for us to use, and they have arrived. And working with Shane at Public Works, actually put 4 pickleball courts on 1 tennis court. And they can be at the same time. You can paint over the lines and you can play pickleball, and then someone can come in. Anyway, we are asking for the backing of City Council. We're thinking that there are many tournaments coming up around the state that people are playing, that maybe we could tournaments, people coming into town to play here, and clinics for people coming into town. And this is also being considered an Olympic sport, and also being played in high school. So I just asked to speak to you and ask for support and going in our community.
Thank you. I don't know if everybody is aware, but Governor Inslee has declared pickleball a state sport in Washington. Anyone else? All right, moving on to the next item. Consent agenda. Consent agenda consists of the following. Approve the minutes of the May 23, 2022 regular meeting. Approve the minutes of the June 6, 2022 workshop. Approve the minutes of the June 13, 2022 regular meeting. Payroll vouchers. Approve payroll vouchers number 119158 through 119168, and wire transfers as listed for $700,843.97 for the period ending on August 30, 2022. Claim vouchers. Approve claim voucher numbers 104342 through 104384, and wire transfers as listed for $171,011.61 for the period ending on August 24, 2022. Approve claim voucher numbers 104385 through 104426, and wire transfers as listed for $471,683.80 for the period ending on August 31, 2022. Is there any item that a council member would like to remove from the consent agenda? Hearing none, what is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve consent agenda.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Councilor Beeler, second by Councilor Hart to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there debate on this item? Hearing none. Madam City Clerk, will you go down the roll for the vote, please?
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Garza,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ducey,
Yes.
Councilor Beeler,
Yes.
Councilor Hicks,
Yes.
Councilor Farmer,
Yes.
Councilor Hart,
Yes.
All right, motion carries, thank you. Active agenda, item A, SMC 15.10, property maintenance updates. Consider adopting an ordinance amending the Sunnyside Municipal Code, chapter 15.10, pertaining to property maintenance code. Madam City Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Borsma. I will turn this over to Trevor Martin for the staff report.
Do I need to reach up and tap the screen?
No, I just didn't, I don't have my glasses on, so I don't know what it said.
It says the meeting's being recorded.
Got
There's a microphone somewhere that needs to be muted, I'm not sure about it.
All right, thank you. As you're all well aware, I've kind of covered this a couple times now in council, and I've covered it with our Sunnyside Safety Commission. But this past June, the city council and the city of Sunnyside adopted the international. Before you, I have a list of amendments that I would like to make to the international. Some of our Valley partners have implemented these code amendments, and they've really helped clean up processes, also given some real teeth to the property maintenance code. So it's kind of really solid foundation to build on, and that's, well, I know that our other community partners in the Valley have seen real success with this. And one of those things that amendments, it should clean things up pretty quickly. That's the goal with it. Our city attorneys, they've looked at it, the issues with it. That's kind of the report I have before you, asking council to adopt the ordinance.
Members, comments or questions for Mr. Martin?
I was just curious as to, just kind of refresh my memory a little bit. This particular update is to do things like contacting vacant property owners that are abandoned buildings, property codes that way, or like my house, it's maybe messy. I'm just saying, I'm just kind of trying to figure out the scope here.
So there are some, we're taking the cautious side when it comes to so there are some notification requirements that aren't necessarily covered by the IP law. So we are adopting those notifications. But then it also goes into more of an administrative review policy. So it gives the city a bit more control in reviewing and doing property, but then there is also a monetary.
Fines are involved too.
And that involves how to enforce reporting fees, time, a continuous.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Council, we've heard a lot of this before. This is not new for us. What is the desire of council on this item?
I move to approve.
A second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilor Hicks, second by Councilor Ripley, to adopt an ordinance amending the Sunnyside Municipal Code, chapter 15.10, pertaining to the property maintenance code. Debate on this item. Hearing none, Madam City Clerk, leave it on the roll for the vote, please.
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Borsma,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Masucci,
Yes.
Councilor Bueller,
Yes.
Councilor Hicks,
Yes.
Councilor Farmer,
Yes.
Councilor Hart,
Yes.
Mayor
Yes.
Seven, yes vote.
All right, motion carries.
taking advantage of this tool, putting it in so that we have some more ways to clean up our city. So that's primary goal.
This has become an emphasis of council over the course of this last year, and it's been brought up an awful lot by citizens in the community, whether to us in meetings here or privately. And so I believe it's a priority for our community as well. So it's good to see this
Good
progress
tool.
being made. Bid award, consider approving a $284.62. Madam City Manager.
I would like to disclose that Alpha Excavating is owned by my father, and I did not take any action on this. It was handled completely by Public Works Director Fisher. So I just want to make sure everyone's clear, that my role in this is only going to be signing this document if council. With that, I'll pass it on to.
Thank you, Madam City Manager. So on September 1st, we opened bids, received 5. Alvis Excavating obviously was the low bidder at $284.62. Now this project will replace 280 feet of currently 2-inch water main with 8-inch water main, replace all the water services and add a fire hydrant as well. But that I can answer any questions.
Council members, questions for Mr. Fisher?
Timeline to get this completed.
We're looking to try to get started 1st of October.
This year thing, before the freeze?
Yep. Trying to get in there, get it done so we can asphalt.
Yeah.
Way too much longer, we're gonna have to do Julia's.
Yeah, I'd like to know that so I can make sure that my dogs don't disappear down a pipeline.
Right.
They're little.
They'll get back.
First thing they
Other
do.
questions or comments? So it should be obvious, a 2-inch pipeline is not enough water to run a fire hydrant, which does not provide adequate fire safety for that neighborhood. So an 8-inch water line is a nominal improvement in my mind. Once again, in the name of public safety, a fire hazard. Okay, what is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve?
I'll second.
Motion by Councilor Beeler, second by Councilor Hart to approve a resolution to authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with Alvis Excavating to construct the Franklin Court water main improvements in the amount of $246,000, or $246,284.62. Debate on this item. Hearing no debate, Madam City Clerk.
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Burisma,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tucci,
Yes.
Councilor Beeler,
Yes.
Councilor Hicks,
Yes.
Councilor Farmer,
Yes.
Councilor Hart,
Yes.
Mayor Denton, yes vote.
Thank you. Motion carries. All right, next item, property purchase, 70 Ray Road, Sunnyside, Washington. Consider approving a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign all documents and take all action necessary to close the purchased property located at 70 Ray Road, Sunnyside, Washington, 98944, from Jose de Jesus Aguilar and Lourdes Yuri Aguilar. Madam City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Burisma. This is something that has been brought forward in an effort to secure the water rights and the well for the property that feeds our Sunnyview Park. This is expanding in the future also for a EMS and a possibly joint fire substation that would serve both Grandview and Sunnyside residents. This purchase also will allow us to store some of our lawnmowers in that area. Currently, right now, we truck them out there, mow, and then have them come back. So it has a multi-purpose and multi-jurisdictional use, which will increase or more favorably get our fire ratings both for Grandview and Sunnyside to be better. So I think that this is a really good move on our part. The purchase price is $500,000, which was negotiated, and I think this will be in the best interest of the citizens of Sunnyside.
Council members, questions or comments for Ms. Alba? Mr. Hicks.
I'm all for this purchase, but did we touch base with Grandview to see if they're willing to kick in some?
I will defer to Mr. Anderson.
Actually, so we've talked about this, there hasn't been put anything in pencil and paper yet. But they're in favor of this.
excuse me, they are?
Yes, their fire chief is anyway.
They're in favor.
Well, so we actually had talked about this a while ago. It kind of landed in our lap a little bit. And so there's no, we actually discussed starting the planning process. Since we were informed that this might go through, the city needed the water rights, and then I just talked about here that in previous years I had mentioned save a piece of the park for the fire department. And it seemed like a perfect opportunity because it would save the city from having to get pulled up. And so, in speaking with Grandview's fire chief, we're actually 2 weeks ago rather, and then I'll sit down and actually start.
Thank you.
Further comments, questions?
Question, is this in the city or will it be annexed in later or?
It will actually, it's not in the city, it's in the urban growth areas. And Trevor has actually been working on the annexation process. And it'll be much easier because it'll be owned by government. We won't have to go through the board. Would you like to speak to that?
An annexation for a public facility, and
Okay, so I have a couple of questions. First of all, the implement dealer next door, I mean, are we able to have contiguous city limits, or are they gonna be annexed into the city as well, or what's the plan there?
They are in the city limits.
They are in city limits. Okay, so it's just that one property then?
Correct.
Oh, perfect. And the other one, this kind of goes along with my long-term goals of the city of Sunnyside, long-term, and I'm thinking 50, 70 years in the future. You know, we've had a period of time in the past where Sunnyside thought about to the end of their nose where infrastructure was put in place that would service what was being built with the idea that nothing ever would grow beyond that. And we've got a couple of neighborhoods that are suffering some consequences as a result of that. Franklin Court may be one of those. And so I like the idea of this because we are thinking long-term. This is going to benefit us as the city continues to grow, and there's every evidence that the city will continue to grow, whether it's industrial or residential. The city is going to continue to gain population and businesses, and that's an idea for us to plan ahead. Also, a better fire rating means better insurance rates for everybody. If we can get our fire department out there quicker, if we can get an ambulance there quicker, insurance companies love that. So that's going to improve things for us. It's going to improve things for Grandview. Ironically, the fire chief of Grandview is in favor of us making this purchase. That doesn't necessarily mean that money's going to follow that, but we certainly hope that it does. If they will be able to kick in something somehow, that'd be fantastic. What is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Councilor Hart, second by Councilor Ripley to approve a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign all documents and take all action necessary to close the purchased property located at 70 Ray Road, Sunnyside, Washington, 98944, from Jose de Jesus Aguilar and Lourdes Yuri Aguilar. Debate on this item?
I just want to say that I'm in agreement with Mayor Boersma about the continued growth of the city, and being prepared for it is of most importance towards being ready for that growth. So I'm really excited about the purchase.
All right, Madam City Clerk.
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Burisma,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Masucci,
Yes.
Councilor Wheeler,
Yes.
Councilor Hicks,
Yes.
Councilor Farmer,
Yes.
Councilor Hart,
Yes.
Mayor, there's 7 yes votes.
Thank you, motion carries. Item D, Lodging Tax Advisory Committee 2023 funding recommendations. Consider authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with A&A Promotions, Sunnyside Rotary, Sort for the Cause, Sunnyside Rotary Swim Team, and Mid Sunnyside Committee for the amounts recommended by the LTAC and Lodging Tax Funds. Madam City Manager.
I will let, report out on this one.
Okay, every year, the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee needs to decide what we will be doing with the lodging fund tax that we received. And this year they met and they received 12 proposals. Of those 12 proposals, we have 6 recommendations from the committee. The rest are still under review. There's some questions on them. And so of those, you have AMA for Cinco de Mayo and Sunshine Days, Sunnyside Rotary with the Sunnyside Lighted Farm Implement Parade, Sport for the Cause for their Sport for the Cause event, and the Sunnyside Rotary Swim Team for their 2023 Central Washington AAU Regional Swimming Vacation, and then the Sunnyside Committee for their community float. And then you have the proposed event center, which was approved by resolution 2019-14. And so the lodging tax committee asks that you consider these recommendations and that you authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with them.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Ms. Hart, you are the council representative on the LTAC, are you? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Do you have any comments to make?
Well, I would like, city clerk to just go ahead and tell you how much money of our city LTAC money that we are, proposing to award these, our recommendations. Could you put it? Pretty much, in agreement. We've had some thoughtful, conversations back and forth. So I would hope that the council will enter into agreement with these, the recommendations from the LTAC, committee.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. So on the question before us on the entering into agreement with these groups, any questions or comments from council members?
These were the only,
So far.
applications.
No, we had 12 applications. Some of them didn't fit. But there's two pending that we're going to be looking at later this month. We gave them a little bit more time. Normally we wouldn't do that, but because one was recreation and one was a huge amount of money, we were, we gave a little bit more time on that. But what I'm saying is not so much that those those were the ones that qualified, the ones that we're recommending right now. The other two are also qualified.
DFW and the Veterans Plaza did not apply.
They didn't apply, I don't believe, this year. We would have certainly have taken that into consideration if they had.
Other questions from council? So I've had the privilege of being the council representative serving on the LTAC committee, and I know this is a group that takes their role very seriously. It seems as if they take it more seriously every year. They, a year ago, became very interested, very active in meeting more frequently and defining their rules and their roles and how to help the public get their applications filled out in a timely manner, make sure all the information was there. These people are excited about being able to award funds to these organizations as long as they qualify. And so I just continue to be impressed by these individuals. They are true, in my mind, community leaders and are doing as good a job as you can possibly expect from anyone. Some of these council members, you know, some of these groups have presented applications several years in a row and for a number of reasons have been declined. And so I'm glad to see that they continue to present their applications and get some of the details ironed out and then hopefully be able to get some of these funds. Now the LTAC funds, these are funds that are generated through lodging tax. And so when people come and stay in our hotels in town, they are charged a tax on their room, and that goes to fund activities that generate and bring in tourism, people from more than 50 miles away. Hopefully that will stay in a hotel here and generate even more funds. And so the idea is to contribute to tourism here in the city of Sunnyside, bring as many people in as possible, and have activities and fun stuff for us and visitors. All right, that being said, what is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve as presented.
Second it.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilor Hicks, second by Councilor Ripley to authorize the city manager to enter into an agreement with A&A Promotions, Sunnyside Rotary, Sort for the Cause, Sunnyside Rotary Swim Team, and Miss Sunnyside Committee for the amounts recommended by LTAC and lodging tax funds. Debate on this item. Hearing none. Madam City Clerk.
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Bursma,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Stucci,
Yes.
Councilor Beeler,
Yes.
Councilor Hicks,
Yes.
Councilor Farmer,
Yes.
Councilor Hart,
Yes.
Mayor Seven Whistler.
Motion carries. Thank you. And I understand then, Mr. Renteria, that we will see later on another proposal for the others that day.
Yeah, you'll see the Sunnyside Tourism Marketing Project, they're gonna come back because their proposal, their original proposal only included, our membership to the tourism committee and a advertisement in their, tourism magazine. And the committee has asked that they continue to do our brochure, continue to manage our Come to the Sun website, and give us a quote on what it would still cost us to distribute the brochures to Idaho, Oregon, Seattle. So, we'll be waiting for that. And then the other 4 events, which are, they're listed as Sunnyside School District, but that is incorrect. The committee is 509 Insanity. When they fill out their application, they put Sunnyside School District, but that's not right. That's just their location of where they're gonna have their tournaments. And 509 Insanity is a pretty popular basketball group that's here for kids. So they had questions about their budget, the event dates, and if the gyms were rented yet, and if they conflicted with any AAU events. So we already have answers on everything except for their budget, when they want to know their expenses and revenues for those events. So once those come back, then you will, you may or may not get a recommendation back from them.
Very good, thank you. Item E, Yakima Valley Fire District number 5, ILA for underground land use for the city fire department infrastructure. Consider authorizing the city manager to negotiate and or execute an ILA with Yakima County Fire District number 5 to allow the city to install underground infrastructure through District 5's land.
I will let, Fire Chief Anderson, report on this item.
Chief Anderson.
Yeah, thank you. So this is another sort of unforeseen opportunity that, unforeseen. Basically, earlier in the year, we had looked at, the fire department looked at putting a reader board out at the corner of we missed the deadline for a grant after grant application. So I was gonna do it again this year. In the interim, however, District 5 notified me that they are going to place the front ramp, the east side of the building, basically their building is between the city fire station and, I thought it was a good opportunity with anticipating go ahead and trench it and put, actually run electrical wire. I reached out to District 5, they were amenable to it, they just asked that we memorialize it in an ILA.
Council members, any questions for the chief?
Am I understanding a reader board is what you're putting in, or just the infrastructure?
Well, so eventually I'd like to put a reader board out at the corner. But right now, we were just, while they have the ramp tore up, the cement, we're taking the cement out. Before they put the cement back in, we asked if we could trench through there, put a conduit in so that eventually we could run electrical wire or whatever, the rest of it out to that corner. There's still another few hundred feet from on the city property that's gonna require trenching, but this is just basically 20 feet or 30 feet across that ramp. So they would, so we're not having to try to drill under it once it's already back there.
Yeah, understood, thank you.
Other questions or comments?
Well, it's just planning ahead.
Good on that.
Make it big enough so you can maybe put more wires in there. All right, what is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilor Beeler, second by Councilor Ripley to authorize the city manager to negotiate and/or execute an ILA with Yakima County Fire District Number 5 to allow the city to install underground infrastructure through District 5's land. Debate on this item? None, Madison Clerk.
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Burisma,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tucci,
Yes.
Councilor Stewart,
Yes.
Councilor Hicks,
Yes.
Councilor Farmer,
Yes.
Councilor Hart,
Yes.
Mayor Dick, 7 yes votes.
Thank you, the motion carries. Item F, analysis of minimum fund balances, liquidity requirements, and investment planning. Review investment plan and discuss and questions or concerns from council.
I will turn this over to, Admin Services Director Horner.
Ms. Horner.
Thank you very much, Madam City Manager. The subject of fund balances has come up at our recent budget retreat and at prior discussions that we've had. And in addition to that, the city also has a higher cash balance in our bank than we have in previous years. So we pulled the investment policy that we have on file for the city. And I went ahead and did an analysis of the minimum operations and maintenance fund balance for each fund. And additionally, I did a liquidity analysis for each fund, how much money we need for basically a 2-month period if we have the lowest revenues that we ever have and the highest expenditures, to make sure that we will always have enough liquid cash to cover our expenses. And I came up with the attached chart that shows the fund balances. And then I also went and looked at doing a bond investment ladder. The city currently only invests with the LGIP through Washington State. So since we have more capital available than usual, we can actually invest that in some bonds that will give us a higher interest rate of return. And so I'm proposing to do that, which is authorized in accordance with the investment policy and city code. But since it's a pretty big difference from the way we've been handling cash, I just wanted to make sure that I was presenting prior to doing this, so I could hear any feedback that you may have.
Council members, any questions or comments?
Has the city been in this position anytime recently? I don't recall.
Not as far as records I could see. There's probably other people sitting there that might.
This is a very good problem to have.
I agree. And the interest rates are very favorable right now to investing some of this in bonds.
And this helps us also with, when you talked about the 2 months, having enough money to operate for 2 months at a
Correct.
time. This is something we've been really struggling, working towards. You know, in the beginning it was a struggle, but now it's becoming kind of like just more routine, which is very, like, our Councilman Beeler said, a good place to be. And we have really, really needed to be there, so this is very good news. And I just think the opportunity to buy some bonds and with the higher interest rates, I think that's a very good deal.
Questions or comments? I would like to echo what my colleague here, Ms. Hart, says. This is been a journey to get to this, and it is a credit to those who have taken a large role of city finances as far as being in the finance department and have done some wonderful things for us. And so credit goes to the two of you, and I very much appreciate your work. It was very painful there for a few years, and to be able to find us in this position is kind of nice. I do have a question. So the city invests in bonds, just how quickly can that be liquidated?
So the LGIP, if you look at the fund balance one, which is the chart, so the liquidity requirement is in the bank. So the cash that will leave in the bank, will be available for spending anytime. The next column over that's a little bit darker blue, the LGIP, that we can get out within 1 business day, is the need to rise. And then the bonds, as I put in the bond schedule here, we're gonna start out with a 6-month schedule. So it's, basically between 1.5 and 2 million, every 6 months we'll have a maturity date so that we can use that or choose to reinvest it at that time, for whatever length of time we make sense at the time.
I was just thinking, in the event of a major crisis when we need cash in a hurry, like what we can get and how long it's gonna take, so.
There is actually also in the orange, or in the sort of yellower, this is additional remaining fund balance in excess of these minimums and the minimum liquidity, because we have a lot more money in the bank than those minimums right now. So we're actually going to leave an additional $2.3 million in cash, and $3.2 million in the LGIP. And a lot of this is for things that, like the ARPA money, some of it has been sort of committed already, but not expended. And so when we get that money, it'll be easier for us to pull it out. So what we're actually investing, is probably capable of being tied up for longer than what we're doing, but we're continuing.
Excellent, thank you.
And if I may say something, I never, ever thought I would see this. And this isn't just Jameson and I, this is all city staff. They are frugal and watch their budget. And we've taken it in the chin a few times and had department heads that have had to do work that probably was over and above what they would have to do, but I think that this is staff, and I want to give staff credit.
You're here.
I would agree. I know that I've been on council for 9 years, and we've gone through some very, very difficult financial times. Everybody's buckled down and really, as you said, taken a tough role. So to be able to see us be able to put a little bit of money away, that's been a dream. We've talked about it for a number of years, and to see it actually happening, I'm kind of excited. Mr. Hicks?
When we started, Mr. Grossman there, we couldn't have 2 weeks. We were iffy if we had 2 weeks to run on.
Yeah.
With our budget. Yeah, it's nice to see now that we can.
Yeah.
Kudos to everyone
Yeah.
involved.
Extra points to you guys. That's all good. Sorry, I was a teacher for a long time, so extra points. I mean, I never give them. They don't mean anything. They cannot be spent, but it always makes people smile.
It's like gold star.
Yeah, give them a star.
Gold star.
Stickers works as well, but I never carry stickers. All right, next item, item G, Title 9 and 9A Criminal Code. Consider adopting an ordinance amending the Sunnyside Municipal Code, Chapter 9 and 9A by reference of the revised Code of Washington and various other sections of Chapter 9 that are specific to the city of Sunnyside. Madam City Manager.
And for this one, since most of the legwork has been done by Howard, Jackson, Riley, and Riley, I'm going to ask Ben, our city attorney, to refer.
This is, I don't know, short term to describe what we're doing here, but this.
Are you able to speak into the microphone a little bit? Thank you.
Had to be updated to make sure we adopted the RCW But the majority of what you're seeing here is from the municipal code here in Sunnyside. And why? Really to make sure that we're current.
And if I remember correctly, you said that some of our criminal code has not been updated. Years, I think you said the same.
Yeah, around that, there's several.
Yes.
About 40 years.
39.
But yeah, unfortunately, there was a few provisions that 1981 actually we found. So it was kind of, and it's not that we weren't compliant with state sites. Bring this to the present, and he proved this.
Council members, any questions or comments?
Again, moving towards the future. This is the, almost our tattoo, for moving forward in the city of Sunnyside. Continue to update, to streamline, to be just that much more ready for being able with the city criminal codes to wherever they're at, so that we can do what we need to do for the safety of the community. So this very good job. Thank you for taking that on. That's very good. Appreciate it.
I would concur. Further comments? Hearing none, what is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion by Councilor Ripley, second by Councilor Beeler to adopt an ordinance amending the Sunnyside Municipal Code, Chapter 9 and 9A, by reference of the revised Code of Washington and various other sections of Chapter 9 that are specific to the city of Sunnyside. Debate on this item? Madam Clerk?
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Bertha,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ratucci,
yes,
Councilor Beeler,
Yes.
Councilor Hicks,
Yes.
Councilor Farmer,
Yes.
Councilor Hart,
Yes.
Mayor, there's 7 yes votes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item H, temporary accounting assistant cashier position. Authorize the temporary accounting assistant cashier position in the finance department. Madam City Manager.
I will let Jameson Porter give the staff report.
Ms. Horner.
Thank you, Madam City Manager, Mr. Mayor. The finance department has recently lost a staff member to the recreation supervisor position, which has been an excellent fit. Very glad to hear somebody come in and say something great that she's done already. But because of the union contract, she does have a year to decide whether or not she wants to fall back into her previous. And so in lieu of making a permanent appointment to that open position, we are requesting right now to allow us to fill this with a lower level temporary position, that would work as, accounting, administrative clerical assistant, and cashier. There's a significant investment in training that happens when we're taking on a permanent employee, and while I am incredibly hopeful that Mary will stay in her role, I would hate to bring someone on and then have to lay them off, with the city having put out that. We are looking for you to approve us to hire this, lower paid position, and so there is no budget amendment required because it is actually a split cost savings.
Council members, questions or comments?
Just one of the people that will be at the desk, right?
Correct.
Will this position have benefits?
It will. This position will fall under the Teamsters Clerical Union. This accounting assistant / cashier role already exists on that line. And the collective bargaining agreement does allow for temporary staff. So while they're in the position, they will get benefits that are associated.
Okay, are you more more comments. What is the desire of council on this item?
Move to approve.
Second?
Motion by Councilor Hart, second by Councilor Ripley to authorize a temporary accounting assistant cashier position in the finance department. Debate?
I think this was a really good call not to hire somebody that would be a job they could apply for.
Comments? Debate? I agree with Mr. Fielder on this one. It's a good strategy. Done. All right, Madam City Clerk, you good on the list?
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Burisma,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tucci,
Yes.
Councilor Beeler,
Yes.
Councilor Hicks,
Yes.
Councilor Farmer,
Yes.
Councilor Hart,
Yes.
Mayor, there's 7 yes votes.
Thank you. Carries. Item I, FEMA grant award acceptance, turnout gear. Consider authorizing the city manager to accept a grant from the Department of Homeland Security in the amount of $49,300 with a match of $2,465 for new turnout gear for the Sunnyside Fire Department. Madam City Manager.
This, just to give you guys a little heads up, we realized that I have actually accepted this grant and didn't bring it before council. So I wanted to have it through formal action for you guys to see. It was kind of something that we weren't expecting to actually get. So I will let Fire Chief Anderson report out on it. But I kind of had a sneaking suspicion that council wouldn't say no to free money. But I will let the fire chief.
Well, every year, FEMA puts out the Assistant Firefighters Grant Program. Last, go around, I believe it was. If council is, unaware, there's a life expectancy, basically a 10-year expiration year. We looked in our stuff that we had and what people would issue, 14 or 15 sets, that were expired. We are close to expiring rather, and, so I put in for this micro grant. We have a capacity in our budget to do the match, and that we're actually gonna probably open to use this for a, sort of a fund.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council?
I already did almost 50,000 for 2,000.
Almost.
Almost.
Well, I think that it's a very good move to continue to keep your fire turnout gear up to date, because we know it has a shelf life. So this, and deciding to put together a fund for further, future purchases of gear, that's another good strategy, I think, very much so. And thanks for keeping an eye on those grants.
I had experience this spring on why turnout gear is important and why many firefighters like to have 2 sets. Sometimes they come back from a fire or an event where they need to wear that gear and then they get called out immediately. And I will tell you from firsthand experience, one sweats a great deal when wearing that gear. And while I was wearing the gear at my training, I had to have another firefighter actually help me get the coat off because I was sweating so much that it would not release me from the inside of that jacket. And so, and I also saw the condition of the gear, the sleeves were frayed, and there was just, it was tired. So this is something that I am very much in favor of. I'd like to see us getting new gear. I would like to have more than 1 set for each firefighter, but if we can get just 1 new set, that's a great step in the right direction. So, thank you, Chief, for finding that grant. What is the desire of council on this item?
I'll move to approve.
That, Mr. Hicks?
Mr. Hicks.
Second?
All right, motion by Councilor Hicks, second by Councilor Beeler to authorize the city manager to accept a grant from the Department of Homeland Security in the amount of $49,300 with a match of $2,465 for new turnout gear for the Sunnyside Fire Department. Debate? City Clerk?
Councilor Ripley,
Yes.
Mayor Burisma,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tucci,
Yes.
Councilor Beeler,
Yes.
Counselor Hicks,
Yes.
Counselor Farmer,
Yes.
Counselor Hart,
Yes.
Mayor, there's 7 yeses.
Motion carries. All right. A moment there, it was beginning to feel like we weren't making progress on this agenda, but we are at item 5, items from council members. Mayor's appointments for boards and commissions. I don't have anything new. I have one person who I am intending to contact, but have not yet done so. But, still have what positions open, Madam Clerk?
There's 2 vacancies in the council salary commission. There are 2 vacancies in the Parks and Rec, committee. Amy Rubio has expressed interest in that one, and Perla Cepeda. So, Perla Cepeda currently serves on the Community and Economic Development Commission, and Amy is on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. Up to you if you'd like to appoint them to the spots on the Parks and Rec.
Let's talk to them each. Meanwhile, if you know, if you know of anybody who is interested in serving in these positions, have them contact City Hall, fill out the form. Council request status report. On the screen.
I don't think there has been updates on this, so, Brooke.
Pretty much.
Needs to be an item on the Economic Development Commission board, so we're, for our next meeting, I am, the reports, and we're breaking it down into categories to kind of into what could be implemented. It'll be coming our way probably in a couple months.
Glad to hear that. The city knows that we've done this. The entire community is aware of Roger Brooks, and it is surprising to me how many people continue to ask about it and what we're doing with it. I had a conversation just this morning with somebody who wanted to know what are we doing with that and how are we handling it. So I'm glad to hear that you're moving ahead with that.
And then the water tower, I don't think anything from that either. Even on YBH.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Risucci, yes.
Madam City Manager, please feel free to remove the speed limit on YBH. I know that we've done everything we possibly can do now.
It's sort of flashing lights and big arrows pointed at the speed limit sign. I don't think we can do any more to help people understand that the speed limit on YBH is 35 miles an hour, not 20.
They don't have Sarah sitting next to them saying, Mom, you can go faster now. They need that in their car.
And the noise ordinance and code enforcement and fireworks ordinance, I think are still being worked on by Trevor and Chief Anderson.
Did you want to say something?
Well, I don't want to ask questions now, but I'd like to, if we could, the fireworks, our next,
And that's it. All right. Any council member has something that they would like to add to the council request status report, you can speak up now, or you can talk to me or the city manager at your leisure.
I have one.
Mr. Farmer.
I have consistently expressed concern over we're not getting back to our citizens when we have somebody come up and talk to us. Or maybe I don't know the process of how we get back to them. The lady that got up and, pickleball tonight, wanted to know if we were gonna support them. Personally, I would say yes, but this would be a council decision, and if we make a decision to support them, we need to tell them. People never hear from us on things that have been brought up before us, and we need some kind of a process where we're gonna get back to these citizens and say, appreciate your comment, this is what we've done, this is what we're gonna do.
Sometimes the citizens don't give us information on how to contact them. That could be a challenge. But you're right. I think we can to add that, if we can find a remedy to.
That's really,
Yeah, let's see if we could figure out a way to contact and respond to citizens.
I think that just makes sense, Mayor, I would think that just makes sense because that's part of the communication issue, and that Mr. Farmer brings up. Getting back to the citizens to let them know, yeah, we take what you say to us seriously, and like with the pickleball thing, that's a great addition to the Parks and Rec, program. I didn't know that it was gonna be an Olympic sport, for Pete's sake, that's exciting. I mean, I don't even know what pickleball is, but sounds like something I could almost play. So, but getting back to people on these things really is important, and I do believe it's part of our issue with transparency and communication. And we should, no, I'm finished, thank you.
I can start bringing a sign-up sheet that, just adds the phone number or how can we contact you, email, and then either councilman or
Mayor.
send me a sign, you would.
No, that would be great.
I think it's a great idea.
And if we could put a checkbox if they want to be contacted, not everybody wants to be
Mhm.
contacted. There may be something brings forward, they just are voicing a concern or bringing an issue, if they make sure that they're given a choice whether they
Exactly,
have it.
yeah, I think so. I agree.
Why we discuss those things.
I think there's a lot of people that get up and speak, don't have time or don't know that they're supposed to sign in, so we need to have some process. And I don't want to ask somebody their address and their phone number, in public, in an open meeting. That could be private, and,
Well, we could have a clipboard that sits up there, and when they're done, they can take it to the seat and fill it out, and then they would be able to.
or have the clipboard and have it right there when they start to talk, so you
That's
fill it out.
where I
That's
was
what you were saying.
proposing, that's what I said, to have it at the podium, so that if they're done talking, they can take the clipboard, fill it out, and then bring it up to the next person.
So let's put that on the,
That's a good one.
status report and, see if we can go somewhere with that one. I'm in favor of that. I understand that for a certain number of people, it takes a great deal of courage to walk up to there and speak to us in council. And so, that would be another way of us showing respect to them as well, so. And as mayor, I would be willing to respond to them. I'll try.
No,
All right, other reports, announcements, and or questions by council, and we'll just go down the list. Mr. Beeler, you are first.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, Mr. Hicks.
Nothing to report?
Nothing to report, but what if we, don't give me that look. What if we want to go through the hotel? How do we, are we gonna try to get an appointment to go, for the people who want to go through the hotel?
So I think it would be
Mhm.
appropriate, because we will need to notice the tenants.
sounds like a
Okay, Mr. Deputy Mayor, if you, just give the city manager just a second, then we'll call on you, okay?
Sounds good, sir. No problem.
So there is notice requirements anytime you enter a tenancy. I don't remember, do you know, notice requirements?
It's 72 hours.
Is it, yeah, so we will have to notice all of the occupants of the hotel. And then I think it would be appropriate if we sent, our staff in first to do the inspections, because they are familiar with what can and cannot be done, whether we can go into certain areas, and then they have the expertise on what code is. So we will make arrangements to get our staff, will need to notice the hotel, notice all of the tenants, and then, make arrangements to get in there.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rizzuti.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to remind council leadership, specifically the YVCOG delegate, that we have a general membership meeting on the 21st next week. It'll be the last virtual meeting, and then the next in-person YVCOG general membership meeting will be in October, and we'll be hosting it in Sunnyside.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Farmer?
Thank you.
Wondering the appropriateness of us actually touring the townhouse. We have staff that knows codes, knows regulations. I would feel uncomfortable, doing that. I don't think it's any of our business, to be very honest with you. That's what we have staff for.
I agree. Then it puts the risk on the staff and not on the council.
I have heard of elected officials going in and attempting to do building inspections, business inspections, and that sort of thing, and it never turns out well. So we need to be very careful as elected officials. Also, we are expected to make a judgment on this information. Us going in there and personally inspecting the property, I'm not sure if that isn't gonna bias us in some way or other.
Well, the other issue, I'm reviewing this.
My personal feelings on that one, I mean, I have had extensive experience in remediation work and black mold remediation and flood work and that sort of stuff. I have no intention of going there, checking it out. I think that our code enforcement, our building inspector, and those individuals are more qualified than any of us to conduct those kinds of inspections and give us a proper report. So, yeah, I personally will be staying out of the building. Much as I drive by it on occasion, and that's as much as I'm.
I would concur with that. Just on the process, that we need to remain unbiased as much as we're able, in making our judgment call on it. I think the staff doing the inspections, and I think Mr. Kim, when he was here earlier, welcomed to have the staff go in and make that final. He seemed a little confused about whether he was supposed to do that or if they were just gonna come back, you know, so a little education there maybe as well. So, yeah, I don't feel a need to actually go into the townhouse. I think that staff they've already seen what it was before, they can now see what it is now. So I think that's the best way to go.
All right, further announcements and or questions? Farmer, I think we skipped over you. Did you have anything to report?
No.
No. And I don't have anything special to report this particular time either. Although I will say that I did have the honor of attending the Patriot Day activity at Harrison Middle School today. Chief of Police were there, a number of firefighters, police officers were there, and representatives of our VFW. And it was a very good event, very well done. The students were incredibly well behaved and took it for the serious event that it was. And I was very impressed. So that was a good event. They are to be commemorated, or commended for how they handled that. So, and it's the first time they've been able to do it in public live in 2 years. They were kind of excited about being able to do that as well. So that was great. Item D, upcoming council meetings. Madam City Manager.
September 26th, we have the Expo Waste Systems garbage contract and the Velasquez Long Pack closed record public hearing. I do believe there's a couple items in the folder that aren't on here, but I will make sure that we get those. In October 3rd workshop, we will have a discussion about new job descriptions, and it will be our budget workshop with fund balances, liquidity, and revenue review.
Right, and let's not forget, next week, Tuesday, September 20th, special meeting for the National Night Out. It'll be at Washington Court, South Hill Road, and council members are invited and encouraged to attend. This will be the only one that I am not able to attend, and so I would encourage other council members to be there in person. It's a great opportunity to get to know the members of this community, and I've had some really good conversations at every one of them that I've attended, so I encourage you to be there. Besides that, you get free hamburgers, if that matters to you.
Feed them, they will come.
That's right. Well, even council members, they might come, you know. All right, item 6, items from department heads. Madam City Manager.
We'll start with Chief Escalera.
Well, thank you.
I guess, reinforce what the mayor had just talked about, our 9/11 celebration today. It was great to be there in person again. The last time we did it in person was in 2019, and the last time I attended was virtual. So this is a big change, and it's the right change. It's really nice to be back out there. I agree in the sense that the kids were a lot more, they were much more receptive and very well behaved in this one. So it was good across the board. I also wanted to report just very quickly, we have addressed, I've talked about addressing problem neighborhoods, and the way we've been doing that is through, what we call intervention areas and walkthroughs in these particular neighborhoods, and working on enforcing and being very, direct about certain things that have been let go for quite some time. And, one of the more problematic areas in the city, we have managed to initially reduced it down to 23%, our call volume crime rate there in that particular location, and now we're down to 2%. But it continues to increase. So it's proven to be very effective and sustainable, and sustainability and crime, even if the crime has moved elsewhere, it's okay. As long as it is moving. So, a lot of effort being put into that, and, there's a lot of enforcement putting that to some degree, and most of it is face-to-face, which has been very effective and has really, basically has reduced the amount of actual, charges being filed and that sort of. Probably written very few, infractions, to very few vehicles or a few arrests, so, it's working very well. I just want to present. That's all I have. Thank you.
My name is Warner, if you would like to present, and I think you have something to say about.
I was just gonna say, the budget workshop, the fund balance liquidity, revenue reserve, I did that tonight, I moved it forward and I forgot to take it off, so. Remove that portion. I did have one question regarding the hearing. There was a gal here who, wanted to speak and she was not, she didn't swear in or whatever. She requested to know if there was going to be public comment at the follow-up hearing. And I have her information so I can contact her.
My opinion, I believe we can. That maybe kind of.
And it was my intention to open up public comment in that as well. But again, your point to keep it to those who hadn't yet had the opportunity to speak or showed up after being sworn in. A good strategy. But yeah, we want to give people an opportunity to speak.
Then I will follow up with her and let her know. I did want to let you know that in regards to the pickleball, I did have a note that I was gonna bring up to you guys. I was happy to see them here. We do have several tennis courts that we could easily make over, and so, I'm wondering if you would like us to bring something to you to propose, doing that little facelift to those. And if so, I can definitely put that, on my list of things.
So what do you think?
I'm just wondering, I think it's a great idea. I think that it's almost, as someone earlier said, a no-brainer to go ahead. Somebody's bringing forth something, a recreational project that they want to do in the community. I think it's certainly, we should support that. And as Mr. Farmer said, let them know that we're really excited about them bringing it forward. So fixing up the tennis court seems like a absolute right thing to do.
Something I've never seen is a lot of people play horseshoes behind the tennis court.
That's because Mr. Skilpoo passed on and he was the guy that was in
Was-
charge.
was-
He was the champion.
I would like to comment on those, actually.
Okay.
Mary has also brought up that, cornhole is very popular right now, and I thought might be a good location. like that, and so she's got all these things, in the pipeline, getting ready to go. So in addition to the outside tennis courts, we do have currently, as you guys saw at the budget workshop, or the budget retreat, some taped out lines on the floor for pickleball. So that gym floor has some damage and they need to be repaired anyway. So perhaps we could look into seeing what it would cost to have that resurfaced and repainted with actual lines, if you want me to look into that.
I would think that, it seems as if council was amenable to that. I think it's a good idea. Both of those bring forth the painting of the tennis courts or the adaptation of the tennis courts and as well as before.
I just wanted to interrupt into that conversation really quickly. I live next to 4 tennis courts that were Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning.
Pickleball is one of those activities that can be done by all ages and people in all sorts of physical condition. You don't have to be a bona fide athlete to participate. It's just an enjoyable, fun thing. My church has a gymnasium and we have used it to play pickleball. So, it's something that people love to do. And if community members want to do it, I think it's kind of incumbent upon us to help them if we've got the ability to do so.
Additionally, Mary was wondering if where the playground got taken out of South Hill Park, if the council would be amenable to changing that into an outdoor volleyball, putting stands down, redoing the outside, and putting poles in so that we could have volleyball.
Are you talking up where the restrooms?
Where they, yeah, sort of behind the restrooms where the whole playground is,
Yeah.
that they're gonna pull out. When they pull it out, instead of resodding and covering it, since it's already sort of an open space, to like beach volleyball court.
Do we not have a beach volleyball court at Central Park? At one time.
Once upon a time.
I
We
believe that it-
had one at Don Hughes Park. It's absolutely disappeared in the grass and the weeds.
I believe the one at Central Park is in the area where the skate park is.
So then, yeah, it seems as if we maybe need to, fix that somehow. And maybe we can look into the one at Don Hughes Park and figure out why it's been that overgrown.
So I will stay with the pickleball theme. So last week I reached out to the school district, spoke with Jeremy Hazard. He gave me a phone number for their court guy that they use for, their stuff. Reached out to him twice, he hasn't called me back yet, he's gonna be here next week. Trying to set up a meeting with him on Monday, to go look at our tennis courts to see if we can put it down. We would do it in the conference, right now the tennis courts have white borders. We'd probably do like a red or yellow, something that contrasts the tennis courts. So when you're all playing pickleball, you don't get confused, but other than that, that's all I really have to report, just working on that.
So I have two things really. So on Wednesday, September 28th, from 3 working, I've partnered with some partners in Yakima County, YC partners. We are going to be hosting a rental assistance. We're targeting 3 to 8 p.m. and be sending out information. Also, work on the highway. We're going to be having applications. But this is part of the that qualified. So they've done it. They Yakima Convention Center twice now. They've had really good turnout. So. And we do have communication with us. We do have one code compliance officer little bit extra time to get it.
Do you have anything you'd like to report?
That's what we wanna know. And where we wanna be.
Jefferson?
I have a lot, the 16th and the 17th fire department, or members of the fire department, I think it's the local and the volunteer association. We're gonna be participating in the Muscular Dystrophy Association. So they'll be out, for a good cause.
Jackie, Mr. Julie? I don't have any.
So, city manager-wise, I have, been working on several projects. Some of them are not quite ready for your ears yet, but there are a lot of things going on in our city. And I want to say that one of the biggest things that I've seen is, we have weeds everywhere. Trevor and I did a little tour of just one block of pure weeds. And we noticed, the weather has been really, not on our side, but these are on private property. We do have to notice them, we have to start the abatement process, if that's where it needs to go. But I do want you to know it is something that we're actively looking at, we're actively trying to take. And as far as all the other complaints about just everything going on in Sunnyside, I wanted to follow up on the yard sale issue. Our permit tech finally had enough time to sit down and put every single yard sale in 2022 into a spreadsheet. And as of today, we've had 443 yard sales. They're registered and been in town. They don't pay anything for those. The paper is free. The time of the clerk is free. And then if we want to go out and enforce the code enforcement issue of it, and where it's signs or any of that, there is no cost associated with that except for property taxes. So if we are deciding where our resources go as budget comes, we have to look at that as well. Is one user benefiting the yard sale application process? So if we have 443 out of our entire population of 17,000 that are benefiting from that yard sale permit, there be a cost associated, and how much should it be? I can go through, if council would like me to, and have staff figure out how much actual time is in just the pure permitting of a yard sale. So the paper, the copier cost, the staff time it takes to process it, and then what we have to do to get the person in and out of the door. I kind of feel like putting staff on this kind of a report is costing the city more money than it's worth for a yard sale, but again, I want your direction on, is this something that we want to put city resources to? So if council could think about it, I'll be asking for some direction at the next council. I'm not gonna put you on the spot right now, but I do want you to know that we have actively looked into it. We know that there is costs associated just with the handling of the paper. So many other cities have yard sale fees, permit fees. I can also get a table together so you know how much the permit fees are in every town from Prosser to Sela, if that's helpful. And if they have the data available, how many yard sales they're generating. That'd be helpful for you for yours. A lot of shaking heads, yes. Okay. So that's just one of the projects that we're working on, and like I said, we have lots and lots of things that we have kind of in the hopper, just not quite ready to bring forward, but look for this fall to be a very busy season, because we plan to, I know Saxon, Riley, and Riley will have more Title IX changes. I spoke with Howard, and he said they know that there's some more things they want to go in there and clean up. Council has directed us to look at the noise ordinance. We have, fireworks that need to be worked on. So like I said, there's a lot of things that we have that we know you've directed us to do, and we're just working on them behind the scenes, just so you know. It's not anything that we're not saying, oh, we're not doing anything. We are actively trying to get all of the things council has directed us on the front burner and trying to get it forward to you. that, I have nothing further.
Thank you, everybody. Just in response to the city manager's comments, typically when we make comments or when we say something, we all want that to be the number one top priority. Everything that I say, I want to be top priority, and next week if I come back with something else, I want that one to be top priority too, and then there's 7 of us. And so we do have to be patient. It's one of the things that I am learning as mayor is things do not happen as quickly as I would like them to, but I certainly am happy to see that things are happening. The biggest example, of course, is the work that our police department is doing in the neighborhoods and the impact that that's been having. It's easy to look at the things that happen. Okay, we recently had a shooting again. Okay, but let's take a look at the impact that the work that the police department is doing and how that is changing over the course of this year. So nothing happens quickly at the government level. I have learned that. Being self-employed, things happen very quickly in my life. But when you're dealing with the government, it takes a little bit more time. And the city is definitely a government. We've got laws to obey. We've got things to look up, things to make sure that we're doing right so that we don't have to go back and do it again. And all of that takes time. So, and then we also have to think about things like the yard sales. I mean, how much revenue are we going to make? Does it really justify all the effort that we're going to put staff through for us to decide that we're not going to? So we have to be patient with each other and all of that. So I appreciate that. All right, there being no further business to come before council and without objection, I adjourn this meeting, 7:53 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good night, council.
Good night, everyone.
Night.